This is Marty with Marty's Diesel, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about why I'm not a huge fan of sending out 45-degree fittings in our kit, and why I often try to get you guys to use straight fittings or 90s. Basically, one of the main reasons is because when you go to install this style of fitting, if you don't get this fitting actually seated over top of the flare correctly, it might leak. And if it's on the pressure side, it might, drip fuel onto the ground. And if it's on the vacuum side, before the fuel pump, it actually can suck air, and it may not ever drip, but it can suck air. It can cause cavitation, it can cause aeration in your fuel, and it can cause injector problems, stuff like that. So anyway, this is what it looks like when it's properly installed. You can actually see that this little ridge that's on this fitting here is actually in line with the cap that you actually screw to install on the fitting. And what I'll do is I'll try to make sure that that's like really well seen right here. It's nice, it's even, right on there, okay? And that's what you want to see. The problem is, and I'll take this fitting apart and I'll do some more explanation too. There's an internal flare here and there's an external flare here, and those things have to mate up and they need to be even, okay? You don't want it cocked to one side like this or or anything like that, because then you're not going to have a proper seal on this fitting. So let me show you what it looks like when this thing gets installed and it's actually not installed correctly, but somebody might think that it is, okay? I'm putting this on the same way that you might do. You can now see that this is not parallel with the actual, threaded nut on this fitting. It looks close, but it's not. This will absolutely leak under 60 psi. This will absolutely suck air in if you're driving down the road and it's on the pre-pump side. So make sure that if you are going to use 45s and then sometimes also 90-degree fittings, that you make sure that that flare is actually installed correctly on there. I can tell just by looking at it that this thing is not installed correctly, but unless you know what to look for or what it should look like, it's a very easy mistake to make. So with that being said, this is what I recommend. Whenever you're installing these fittings, install them like just hand tight and then wiggle them around a little bit. That actually moved a little bit. Wiggle it, tighten it down, wiggle it, tighten it down. And you'll end up where you'll actually make sure that it kind of wiggles itself into the center. And I can tell now by looking at this, all of these lines are parallel. This cap is installed right, the fitting is installed right. And as soon as I tighten this down, usually about another, quarter to a half of a turn from finger tight, usually this right here, would end up with a leak-free operation. I always recommend that anytime you install one of these fittings and it's on the pressure side, always look at all of these style connections right here, no matter what. And then if it's on the pre-pump side, I absolutely recommend that you watch your return on your fuel system. You want to make sure that on your return system, you don't have a bunch of air. It should start out with air when you first turn your key on, because you have to purge the entire system. But within a couple of minutes, you should have next to nothing for air in the system. If you have air in the system, we always recommend that you check anything from the pump backwards for problems like this. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.